Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This came right before Finding Carter, Season 1, Episode 5, The Heat. And this episode, once again, was amazing. I really enjoyed this episode. I thought this was, the best episode of the season once again. I mean, this show really can do no wrong. It seems like it can do no wrong. Every episode's better than the last, and that's what I'm loving about this show. The show know how, they know how to make a good show, and I just love it more every episode. So, let's just get to it, because overall, I love this episode. I thought this was a fantastic episode. A lot of game-changing moments in this episode, so let's just get to it. So we see Carter. She's at Max's new job, because, Max got that new job and everything. And, she's buying a slushie, and he is telling her all about the advantages his job has. How he gets, free slushies and free burritos. And she tells him she's happy for him, but she still doesn't know why he moved here, because it's a lot of change for him. A new apartment, a new job, and he doesn't really tell her, and she says, look, we can do this all day until you actually tell me why you're here. He eventually tells her why he is there, because he moved here, and, because he's worried about her, and she asks if it's because of Crash, that guy Crash that she really likes, but is very rebellious, she thinks it could be because of him. But it has nothing to do with him. He says he doesn't have he's not worried about him. He thinks it's bad enough that she lost everything once and doesn't want to have to go through that again. And she asks him why. And he tells her Lori showed up and that he saw her at the gas station. And that's why he came back. And he tells her she wants to go with her. And he didn't know if that was really what she wanted. So Carter's obviously shocked about this. And I thought it was a good thing that he told her, even though Lori said not to tell her. Look, Carter's his best friend, and at the end of the day, he's gonna tell her. At the end of the day, he's gonna tell her because Carter's his best friend. So, Carter's very shocked about this. She doesn't know what to do. She's then in Crash's car, and, basically, she tells him that she just found out her mom was possibly close, and he's happy for her. And she tells him she was thinking her mom is probably under a new identity. And if he could try to, track her to see where she is. And he tells her he's not a criminal. And she tells him that's not what she meant. She just wanted to find her mom. And he tells her to send a picture of her. He will ask around. But if she really wants to find her, to ask Elizabeth. Because, Elizabeth is a cop. And Elizabeth can help, Carter find her. So she basically, if she stops pushing Elizabeth away and get closer with her and form a good bond with her, she may actually help Carter. So Carter thinks of this advice, and, she takes his advice to heart, because what ends up happening next is basically that Elizabeth walks in, Carter's doing homework, Elizabeth walks in, and Carter tries to bond with her. She talks about the police stuff, and Elizabeth is actually shocked that she cares. Because, since when does Carter care about her job? And, basically, Carter tells her ever since she went down to the police station to apologize, and she's seen how fewer women there were. There aren't that many women. How she's, that really made her care more. And basically, she's pretty up high, she's pretty high ranking. And, basically, David comes in, and they talk about how she's been coming home late every night, and she tells him it's been pretty crazy, she just got back from a crime scene, and Carter tells her she would love to join a squad soon on a Take Your Daughter to Work day, and basically, Elizabeth tells her she can bring her on a ride-along if she is serious, and that's what they decide to do. They go on this ride-along. So, Elizabeth is at her job, and Kyle, and Carter is in the cop car. And Elizabeth explains to Kyle what's going on. And Kyle tells Carter it's great that she wants to spend time with her mom. And Kyle is trying to bond with Carter. As we know, Carter and Kyle did not get off on the right foot when we first saw them. Kyle kind of stalked Carter. And she still thinks of Kyle as her stalker. She does not trust him right now. Which is understandable. I understand why she doesn't trust him. She cuts him off and tells him no matter what he says, she pictures him outside in his car, basically outside in his car watching her. Basically, she's calling him a stalker, pretty much. That's what's going on there, is that she's pretty much calling him a stalker. But yeah, so that ended up happening, and after this happened, I thought that was definitely very interesting. And, yeah, so later, Carter and Elizabeth, they walk into a tactical training facility, and Elizabeth teaches Carter how to open the door with a battering ram, and Carter's not really impressed by this. She tells her she imagines it, and Elizabeth says, my secret is I imagine it being a criminal's face, and, Carter says, I can imagine whose face it is, referring to Lori, and Elizabeth then changes the subject and tells Carter that she's off the clock, she doesn't have to work today, and Carter could possibly try, and Carter tried, and she ended up knocking the wooden door off its hinges. Kind of a fun moment there. And, yeah, I thought that was definitely very interesting. I mean, definitely very funny. And I definitely like seeing the bonding between Carter and Elizabeth in the next scene, because they're practicing shooting targets with paintballs. Carter's not really doing so hot, though, because she's not really shooting the targets, she's, like, shooting furniture. And, they get into a fun game of paintball war, but before they could continue the game, Elizabeth gets a surprising phone call. As she said, she was off the clock today. She was not planning on getting any phone calls, but she does get a phone call about a crime scene. So they arrive at this crime scene, and Elizabeth tells Carter to stay in the car, and Elizabeth said that she thinks she wants to see what's going on, but there are things that she cannot unsee. So when Elizabeth walked away, Carter then calls Bird, and tells her how she's at a crime scene, and asks what she's doing later, and as she gets out of the car, she's startled because she sees a dead body under a white sheet, and looks to see what's going on, and she sees a man's wife, and I thought this actually handled very, very well. I mean, the way they handled the scene, very realistic, and, just really, really dramatic in this scene. I thought this was awesome, the way they handled it. The man's wife is screaming, and Elizabeth had to calm her down before they took her away, and the thing is, that's how it really works in real life with a police, with a police officer. If someone's going crazy, a police officer has to calm them down, basically, and, yeah, that was definitely very interesting. And basically, Carter asks who killed him, and Elizabeth says, oh, I already know, she did. So it turns out that the wife that she was comforting, she actually did kill her husband. Her husband was abusing her. She wanted to leave. He was attacking her. She stabbed him, and she stabbed him. So Carter's very confused, because if Elizabeth knew that she was the killer, why'd she comfort her? Now, Elizabeth tells her there's not, and this is true, I liked what she said here to her. It's not always a good guy, bad guy situation. She did what she did because she was scared. And I thought that, I thought that was definitely very interesting, because it's like, and in the real world, there are no good guys, bad guys. Everyone has reasons for doing bad things that they do. Everyone has reasons for those things. So basically, what ended up happening was Carter then asked Elizabeth how she decided which criminals to leave alone and which ones to hunt like animals. She asked how she could get a criminal on the list to see Elizabeth's warm and fuzzy side, because, she's seeing that Elizabeth really does have a heart, and immediately Elizabeth knew she was talking about Lori, and Carter says she hates her and doesn't understand why, but maybe she wouldn't if she understood the reasons that Lori did what she did. So Elizabeth tells her she would, and Carter doesn't understand why she would have the same compassion for her, and why she wouldn't have the same compassion for her. And basically, Carter tells her Lori's the woman that made her who she is today, and Elizabeth tells her, no, that's not true. She knew for 3 years, and for those 3 years, she knew that she would turn out the way that she is today. And even if she was not raised by Lori, then she said she just wanted one day with Lori out of the picture. That day, for a moment, it was just her and Carter, and they made each other laugh, which was something she never thought she would ever have with her. And Elizabeth thanks Carter, for the day. And you gotta feel bad for Elizabeth, because she had a nice day with her daughter. She was trying to have some bonding time with her daughter, and it had to be ruined by that whole crime scene. So, that was definitely, very big, and I definitely really, enjoyed that scene. Definitely very good stuff there. So then Carter, knocks on Taylor's door, and Max is quizzing Taylor on SAT vocabulary flashcards. And of course, she has no idea that Max and Taylor have chemistry. And Carter tells her that she needed the car, and Taylor tells her okay. And as she leaves, Max is quizzing and saying, Max is quizzing her, and Taylor tells him, I know you probably want to go out rather than quiz me. And Max says, fine, I'm going, but you're coming with me. She says no, and he literally picks her up, and, they go. And Taylor grabs her flashcards, Max carries her out of the room, then he threw the box back into the room, kind of a funny scene there. And, basically, then what ends up happening is that Carter, Max, and Taylor, they're on their way to the party, and she says she's excited to see Crash tonight, but of course she told Max that she wasn't seeing him, and she tells him she's not, he's just helping her with something, but Elizabeth cannot find out about it, and she's teasing Taylor a little bit. I thought this was funny. She's talking about the different sides of Taylor. There's the, tough Taylor, there's the United States of Taylor, there's the, rebellious Taylor. There are many different sides of Taylor, and I thought that was a very funny scene to watch. Basically, they show up at Bird's house, and Taylor then closes her eyes and turns around, because Gabe, Bird, and Ophi were in their underwear smoking weed, and I thought that was definitely funny to watch. And they were all sitting in the living room, and Carter then goes up to Crash and asks him if he found anything. And he tells her he hasn't. And by the way, I like Crash's character a lot more in this episode. He really cared for Carter. He really wanted to help her. He actually seems like a pretty nice guy. Now I kind of like his character. Basically, she tells him she could always give a message to her through Max, but Carter doesn't want to do that to him. Carter tells her he would do anything for her, and, she thinks about it because, maybe he would, and she kind of thinks maybe she should do that. So, then what happens is everyone's drinking at the party except for Taylor, and Carter asks Taylor if she ever played 7 Minutes in Heaven, which I've never played that game personally. I don't go to those parties where they're spin the bottle and things like that. And Taylor then takes a large sip of Carter's wine before Bird asks if she had ever been kissed, because Taylor wanted to be a little bit rebellious, because, Carter told her, live a little, have some fun. And she kind of takes this advice to heart, and Carter spins the wine bottle for Taylor, and it lands on Ophi. So Taylor goes into the closet, and he tells her they do not have to kiss, and meanwhile Gabe is chanting, and Ophi tells him to shut up, and I thought this was definitely very funny, which he does, and he then tells Taylor there are several options. He could tell her 7 minutes of knock-knock jokes, and instead Taylor says she just wants to get it over with. She's probably the oldest person in the world that has never been kissed, and honestly, I feel your pain, Taylor. I've never kissed anyone either, so they kissed, and then they kissed again, and Taylor likes it. They make out for a little while, and while everyone is waiting, Carter tells Crash that she wants to rig the game so the bottle always lands on Taylor, and Bird tells her not to rig the game because Bird wants Crash too. They spin the bottle a second time, and it lands on Gabe. So Taylor and Gabe then walk into the closet. Gabe tells her he knows that this was only her second time, but she doesn't care. She jumps onto Gabe, and they make out even after 7 minutes, and they come out of the closet, and Gabe is shocked at what just happened. He's like, and everyone's like, what just happened? And he's like, I don't know. I thought that was definitely very, very funny. And they then spin the ball again, and it lands on Max and Taylor. Now, as we know, Max and Taylor actually do have chemistry. And Bird said that the spin did not count because she saw Crash stop the bottle. But Max and Taylor said the spin did count in unison. And in the closet, Max told Taylor that he wished he could have been her first. And after Max and Taylor kissed, Max asked if she wanted to leave and go somewhere else. And Taylor said that would be nice. So they do just that. And Taylor tells her it's been a very long night. And Carter tells her she will get a ride from Gabe, who now has feelings for Taylor, because he kissed Taylor, and now he kind of has feelings for her. So Max comes out, and she decides to ask him if he could do something for her. She wanted to, Crash asked her to do that. However, Max thinks that she wants him to tell Lori to back off, because basically, here's what he would tell her, that she couldn't use him anymore, and he couldn't be an accessory after the fact, and because he doesn't want to go to jail, he tells Carter, do whatever she has to do, but leave him out of it. And he leaves, and Carter's pretty shocked about this, because she thought she could, she thought he would do anything for her, and he didn't. So Bird then goes into the closet with Crash, and Crash tells her not to leave, because he has something to tell her, and Gabe tells Carter to leave, to tell Taylor he likes her, and she says she will tell her if he gives her a ride home. And she then hears Bird and Crash probably having sex in the closet. And as she goes into the house, and, she's pretty surprised by, Bird and Crash having sex like that. And she then finds Taylor and Max making out. Basically, here's where she finds out that Taylor and Max are together. and she's shocked, and she had no idea they like each other that way. She, that was definitely very interesting. And she goes into her room, and Elizabeth knocks on the door and talks to Carter, and she tells her she's sorry about what happened between them, and she asks what else happened. She says it's nothing, and Elizabeth tells her she has a lot to deal with too, and she wants to help her have less stress, and Carter asks what she's saying, and Elizabeth tells her she's gonna stop, and I thought this was really great, one of the best things Elizabeth has done. She is going to stop looking for Lori, because today was the first time Carter and her actually bonded. And Elizabeth wants more of that. And she asks what else she could be more traumatizing than seeing her first dead body. Carter doesn't answer, and Elizabeth tells her they will take it 5 minutes at a time. And I thought this was a nice scene. You're seeing that she really does care about Carter, and for once, she's actually going to do something to Carter's request. Most times it's, oh, I'm not going to stop looking for Lori, but for once, she actually decided to stop looking for her. So Then the very end of the episode, Taylor and Max are outside making out. Max leaves to go into his truck. He then sees Lori, and who's the worst person he can see right now. He tells her it's weird because she's in front of their house, and she asks him where else she can go because her child is in there, and she's had her heart walking in there outside her body. And Max tells her that there's only one thing: Carter is not her child, and Lori gets really upset about this. She tells him never to say that again. She is her child. And Max tells her he had this really long speech plan, the thing that he said to Carter, he had this really long speech plan he was going to say to her, but now the best thing to do is to actually just walk out there and tell them that she's here, but when he turns around, she's gone. And that's how the episode ends. So we'll get some more of that later, but that was definitely very interesting, and I thought that was just a very interesting plot, and I really enjoyed it. Let's go over to, Let's talk about the 2 subplots in the episode. There were 2 subplots. I first want to talk about David's. David's was very interesting because David is becoming very, very suspicious of Elizabeth. An event ends up happening is while Carter and Elizabeth are at that job, we see David and Toby. Now, Toby's with David, and David's very afraid that Elizabeth will show up, but David tells him to relax. He doesn't know what Elizabeth's issue is with him, and Toby finally gives him that paycheck that he had promised, because, David kept talking to Elizabeth last week about a paycheck, and he finally gets it, and David says it feels really good, and Toby tells him that's only the first one. There are 3 more paychecks coming, and David said he's trying to decide when to show it to her. Before or after he tells her he wants a divorce. Now, Toby's shocked about this. I was shocked about this. Basically, David knows she's cheating on him because what we find out is that this is not the first time she's cheated on him. The first time he didn't blame her because his career was not doing very well. His career is basically tanked, as he called it. Excuse me. She was driving around all night, and she was this close to leaving him. And that's how that's what the first thing happened. And then he tells her about the whole money fight they had last week. And the next thing he knows, she's working late, and he can't stand sleeping in the same bed with her. And he says now he doesn't need to worry because he has a check to basically rub it in her face. And Toby takes away the check and tells him he's protecting him, but Elizabeth needs to take Elizabeth is probably gonna, split the check. And Toby tells him if that happens, Elizabeth will then take half of the money. He will not get the check, and he will not give him the check till him and Elizabeth are legally divorced. So, that's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. Definitely he needs to get divorced with Elizabeth, because he's not going to get that paycheck unless he gets divorced with her, so that's something going to get interesting. So then David's cooking dinner, and he asks how his day was, and he tells her it was uneventful, and just wrote things, and she tells him she used to read stuff to him as he valued her opinion. And, basically, they're having a nice conversation. She tells him her opinion of the sandwich he's cooking, and she tells him she's tired of him sitting in his office, not knowing what he's doing, and he tells her he doesn't know either, and she tells him she will tell him anything she does, and he says he doubts that, walks away, and she doesn't know what she said, but, she's kind of upset about that, pretty upset about that, actually. And, basically what ends up happening is that, they end up watching a movie together. David's in a better mood. They go to watch a movie, and the movie she chose was the movie they saw on their first date. they're having a nice time together, watching the movie, and then she falls asleep on him, which always happens when they watch movies. I thought this was a cute scene, you kind of got to see them reconnect a little bit. And Elizabeth's phone then rings, and the worst person you could call right now calls, and of course that's Kyle. David goes away, he's very upset, and Elizabeth gets up and doesn't know what's going on. So, that was David and Elizabeth's plot. I thought their plot was definitely very interesting, and I really enjoyed it. And the only person to talk about is Grant. Grant had this girl, Regan, he was talking to. Basically, he found her in this movie fan club. He started talking to her in this movie fan club, and he was becoming very good friends with her. And they talked about movies a lot, things like that. Actually, a lot of movies I reviewed. Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, The Departed, the Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street I haven't reviewed, but they were doing like a Martin Scorsese thing. And Carter mistakenly calls Regan his girlfriend. And, she's not his girlfriend, and basically she tells him that if they talk so much in deep conversation like this, and if they talk so much and he really cares about her, then she's basically his girlfriend. So he calls her the next time, and he asks her, why do we just talk about movies? And she says, is there anything else you want to talk about? And he basically tells her that he wants to talk to her about, other things, and she says she hates those kind of conversations, and that she's experienced, and since he's not experienced, he should wait till, he is ready to have that kind of conversation with her. And so he waited a little bit, and basically, Carter then went outside, his door, asking him how everything went, and he said, he wants to do this on his own with Regan. He wants to have this kind of conversation between him and her. That's the kind of conversation he wants, and that's just what he wants it to be. He wants it to be between him and her, and not him, her, and Carter. So, he has to do this on his own, and I hope for his sake it works out for him, because, it'd be nice for Gabe to get a girlfriend. I think it's a cute thing, and I really enjoyed that plot, and I thought that was a really good plot as well. So, this episode overall was amazing. I love this episode. A lot of great stuff going on here. Now, it looks like next week, Carter's gonna get a little bit rebellious with Crash. She still wants to find her mom, so she has to do what she can to find her mom. I'm pretty sure what she's gonna do is, it looks like she's gonna have sex with Crash. I don't know if she's gonna do that to, get him to help more about her mom. I don't know. So as far as that goes, I don't know what's going to happen there. Now, as far as Lori goes, how is Lori going to go about this? She just disappeared. She's eventually going to confront Carter somehow. Eventually, Carter's going to see Lori. She has to. I don't know how Lori is going to approach this. We did see a promo where Lori is outside of, Lori's outside, and basically, Lori's in a convenience store, and Carter sees her there, so I'm thinking that's how they're going to meet up or whatever, but I'm really looking forward to seeing them meeting up, definitely. It's definitely going to be a very big thing. Taylor and Max, I was very happy that Mailer happened this episode. Max and Taylor Mailer, I ship them very, very much. I've shipped them throughout the whole show so far, since episode 3, and I'm really happy that they are together now. I think it's great that they're together. Yes, Carter's a little bit upset about it, but I think, at the end of the day, she is happy for Taylor, that Taylor did get a boyfriend, because Taylor was kind of just, too, I don't want to say strict, but too, rough about things, she wasn't, having very fun, she wasn't living a little, like Carter said, and I'm happy for Taylor, definitely. We'll have to see where that relationship goes. I really hope we get more of that relationship. Gabe and Regan. Is Gabe going to have that conversation with Regan? He was having that conversation with her. I hope to see more of the Gabe and Regan plot, to see where that goes. That'll definitely be interesting to see where that goes. And as far as David and Elizabeth, David needs to divorce Elizabeth very soon. Is he going to tell Elizabeth what's going on? If he wants to get that paycheck, he kind of has to, because Toby told him, remember, no paycheck till you've divorced Elizabeth. So, we'll have to see what happens there, definitely. And also, is Elizabeth going to try to connect more with Carter? I like seeing those scenes where Elizabeth tried to connect with Carter. I thought those were good scenes, in my opinion, and I really enjoyed those scenes. I thought that was good. And also, Gabe and Taylor, what's going to happen there? Are we setting up a new love triangle with Gabe, Taylor, and Max? Because Gabe really likes Taylor now, so we'll have to see what happens there. Yeah, so it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens there. But overall, I love this episode. Best episode of the season. Absolutely loved it once again. This show, as I said, can do no wrong. I think this show is fantastic, and I've been loving it, for these last 5 episodes, and So that's basically it for my review. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys saw this episode, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for either another classic mirror review or for my review of tonight's episode of Big Brother. So I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.